Magic.
Hello, everyone. We are here discussing Real Magic by Wayne Dwyer, and we are on the chapter Real Magic and Your Relationships. So, today we're going to be discussing how to have real magic in relationships. Okay,
Real magical relationships.
well, yeah, real magical relationships, real magic in relationships. So, his first point in this chapter is pretty much that our inner wisdom meets other people. You know, the true measure of how you function with others is how you are personally inside. So, how much do you guys think that we create our relationships, or how much does it depend on the other person?
Oh, absolutely create your own relationship.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'd say.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think so too.
because the other person is reacting to you as well as you're responsible for your reaction to them. So I think it all comes on to that you can make things the way you want them to be. And also as a manifester, like you're in charge of your own experience. So you're in charge of what kind of relationships you're in.
Yeah, I think you're manifesting the relationship. You're part of the relationship, whether you want to or not, because your personality has a certain response to it.
Well, having worked with hundreds of artists, it's like really interesting because it's like if you juxtapose yourself against like 100 different people, you become 100 different people, and it's like I get his point where it's like it's all on us, like how we see what's going on, how we perceive it. I do think we can manifest the highest in an interaction that is possible. For example, if you're working with somebody and they're kind of alcoholic, you cannot focus on their alcoholism and focus on all the good things about them. You can be like, what I love about you is XYZ, and you can like not be like, you're a grubby alcoholic, right? So I think you can work towards the highest manifestation of a two-way street. But I do think some people are easier to work with than others, and some people really seem magical, and some people are a real pain in the ass.
Yes, so it has to be, yeah, it has to be co-decided. That's a word.
Yeah, like if two people are doing this manifestation thing in a relationship, it will be a beautiful thing. But if one person's doing all this manifesting beauty and the other one's just, saying mean stuff every other sentence, like it's not, I don't know. There's something not.
Yeah, or phoning it in, or not as equally invested, which means they might not be manifesting.
Well,
Because
then,
manifestation is saying you have to focus, right? What we've read about manifestation, you have to focus. The other person may not be focused. But
well, all right. So when are you allowed to be like, you know what? This other person, like is never gonna give me what I need in this relationship, or are you supposed to be a tryhard and keep trying and trying and trying in all these different ways because you're the one that is trying and they're not? Or do you cut bait?
Yeah. I think there's that thing called spiritual bypass, which we talked about, where you bypass reality to be spiritual. And it's like, I think this crew is fighting spiritual bypass. We're not trying to be like spiritual knobs who are just like, God, and I got duped again because I was so spiritual. It's like one of the reasons to look at a chart is like if somebody is like grating on my nerves or being really mean, I will look at their chart and I'm like, oh my God, this is a mean chart. And then I might decide it's not necessarily that I cut them off, but I do what I would call levels of engagement. I'd be like, I'm going to move this chart farther out because when it gets really close to me, it keeps like harassing me or being mean or whatever. So I'm going to move it out in levels of engagement. I still try to look lovingly upon every person, like God created you for a reason. Like what is that? But the if I get them to the right level of engagement, then I can love them again.
Hmm.
What do you
Do you
think?
that I see that.
Sorry.
Well, I was gonna ask you guys, do you think that like there's someone for everyone? Or do you think that some people are just like really naturally hard for pretty much everybody to get along with? What do you think, Lumiere?
Well, I think um I think there might be somebody that you can get along with for anyone, but the more difficult that person is, the more difficult it is to find the person that they will get along with.
Hmm.
Like Stalin could find somebody to get along with, but there has to be another person that's very similar to Stalin. So the odds of finding somebody like Stalin are slim for him.
Well, I think there were a lot of people that liked him.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, I mean, I'm talking about relationships. There are a lot of people that like him, so they didn't end up in the gulag. But, but I think there's somebody for. I mean, I'm a romantic, so of course I think there's somebody for every.
hmm. What do you think, Andy?
Well, I take a very mathematical approach to this as somebody who arranges marriages in astrology. As an astrological extremist, I think when you have a hard chart or a hard aspect of personality, you have to be mathematically quite careful that the two charts don't rub each other the wrong way. So let's say you have somebody with a Sun, Mars, Pluto conjunction at the fifth degree. Like that's a really kind of violent and aggressive aspect of personality. You want to find a chart that matches up with it in a very graceful way at that degree. Like maybe that someone has Jupiter at that degree, or a trine to that person's moon or something like that. So definitely the partner doesn't rub them the wrong way. And then in the composite chart, you want to make sure that there's a beautiful composite so that the people naturally get along quite well. It is possible to get along with a hard chart. You just have to do the mathematical calculation correctly.
So there is a chart for everybody, essentially.
I would say so. I mean, I think some charts natally don't want partnership. Like, I think there are people who are uninclined towards cooperation and have kind of like oppositional defiance disorder kind of feel
Yeah.
to them. And I think that their life path and purpose may not be partnering up. Okay, well, so let's move to this next point, which he says, okay, so you're supposed to make a fantasy, which the Greeks would call a fantasia, which is an image. So what is your ideal state with others? Like, what's your in fantasy image of an ideal partnership?
In a romantic relationship?
Well, he says partners, children, friends, and acquaintances, which I think it would be different for each, right? So let's start with
Yeah.
romance.
These are like one-on-one relationships versus your relationship in a community, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, JC, what's your ideal state with a partner?
Well, it would be someone who's like we both are interested in learning new things, and then when we can kind of like either learn together or toss ideas off each other. Someone who is, equally awesome as me. Like that really wants to be bright and shine and like actually has like aspirations towards being like the best they can in things.
Nice. How
Right.
about
You're very focused on improvement, yoga, improving your chakra, all that kind of stuff. It would have to be somebody like that. Yes.
Yeah, I guess, and it's not even like improvement because I think there's something lacking. It's like improvement because if you're gonna work on something, like, or not work on, but like take action because we're all energy coming in and then doing things, well, you might as well be doing things that make everything better around you, is my feeling on that. So, like, someone who, when they come in a room, like, makes it better. You know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And yeah, we've had that feeling. Like somebody walks into a room and you think, oh my God, the world just got better.
Lumir, what about you? What's your fantasy ideal partnership?
Oh, my fantasy is different than my ideal.
Ooh, how so? That's
I'll
did
tell
you
you
just say that?
privately.
Scorpio time.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for that. My ideal partner is someone that um, we have like-minded philosophies, but not the same. We have like-minded feelings about intimacy, but not the same. My ideal is intimate. I believe that one of the things that we're losing is intimacy, and I believe that intimacy is best for all of us. Um, about the whole ideas of exploration and not being not being in a routine where you're content with the routine, and I say that with the idea that I know that sometimes routine is a way to zen, but still somebody that isn't just phoning it in, somebody that's as interested as I am in trying to find dynamic ways to live. Of course, I say all of that and sounds pretty good, but I'm lazy as fuck. So um, I don't want another person as lazy as I am, or we're really screwed. So it has to be a kind of dovetail relationship. Because if all these things, like say these four things, are exactly aligned, we don't go together. They have to be a little bit different so that we can go together. So that's my ideal. Somebody that enjoys the association of ideas and intimacy in all manner and loves to eat.
Okay. So then his
What
question.
about you, Andy?
Well, for me, gets down to mathematics as well, because it really depends on the two charts, and like this is why a vague manifestation of a perfect relationship, is kind of hard to do because it really depends on what that person brings to the table and what they like to do naturally. But I do think I look at it as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We have like food, shelter, and water. Then we have human relationships, and then we have self-actualization on the top layer. In my ideal partnership, we do that layer of relationship and then actualize ourselves. It's like two trees growing next to each other like this. And what they're actualizing depends on their chart, and what I'm actualizing depends on my chart. And then we interface and hang out in those actualization processes. So I think, but what I have to get with a person, I suss them out for like a year or two, watch them roll around on their chart. I'm like, okay, this is what they like to do. Now, how can we weave that together? Like, so it does get kind of like precise for me about watching the person manifest naturally, trying not to inhibit their manifestation, and then trying to actually support that and vice versa. So, okay, his question then is how can you make sure this fantasy happens? It all starts with you. So he's saying, we bring the manifestation and the results. So how can we make sure that what you guys want happens?
Clear communication.
Maybe not settling for less?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that I probably have a tendency to say, well, I can make this work. Only don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're talking about in manifestation, the theory that we've talked about so far is put up the thing on the wall that you want and don't look away. So settling for less would be looking away.
And I feel like you have to keep molding your partner with your manifestations. Like every day you talk into reality this truth, right? Like you're like, since we're both manifesting equally and we're both growing ourselves equally, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And you basically
Mhm.
teach them your vision daily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, because I'm so flexible and mutable or what, maybe you might say, and like I have to remind myself all the time. Like that's why I write the same thing in my journal every day because I have to remind myself this is who I am and this is what I want because it's easy for me to get kind of swayed off course and then I come to like over there. I'm like, whoa, what am I doing over here? Wait, no
Yeah.
way. So like I think you're right, Andy, too. Like I think maybe mistakes that I've made in the past have been in not communicating to the other person who I am, because I kind of will go along with, get swept away or go along with what they want just to see where it goes or what happens. So it is kind of like a balance of like what you were saying, like seeing what they're doing and stuff. But well, I think what I've been not as good at is like being firm in the who I am doing over here to be able to explain to them so they don't accidentally kind of sweep me away off to sea.
Yeah, I do think there's something about in manifestation about being a tough cookie when something doesn't fit in with what you're manifesting. So like if somebody came in and was totally harshing your fantasy, like someone was phoning it in, wanted to have a sexist relationship with Lumiere, like, because he's definitely wants a Scorpio kind of thing. It's like, you know what I mean? If someone's like, I want to be sexless, phone it in and you're gonna pay for all my stuff, like they gotta go. I'm sorry, but you're just
Yeah,
like, bye, Felicia. You're not even in my manifestationosphere. Like I can't even see you anymore.
that's that's right. That's right. But you have to be willing to do that.
Yeah.
And those of us who are like, well, I could probably make this work. Before you know it, you're thinking, my God, what have I done? It, and it doesn't actually take that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
right, they got to go.
Well, there could be something where we say manifestation vetting is a thing. Like vetting things to see if they fit with your manifestation or not.
Hmm.
Well, yeah. So you would have to really know your manifestation desires and then look at somebody and say, yes, yes, no. See if they fit, right?
Yeah, it's just like if you own a business and people want to have contracts with you, you're like, I can't quite do this contract. Like,
Right.
how can we do that in business, but we won't do that in love? You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yeah. When I was a drywall finisher, I had people I worked with. I had about the same five people, but every now and then I would have somebody that I would do a job for them and they would be not worth it. They would pay me late or they would hang drywall and I would finish it. The hang job was terrible and I didn't make any money and I would just not go back. I mean, it's a little harder in relationship because you get screwed and then you don't go back. That's a lot of time invested.
Daisy, what were you gonna say?
Well, I think one key is that you have to trust your intuition. And I think one of the other mistakes that I've made in the past was to be with someone who was, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And they would like tell me not to trust my intuition,
Uh,
right? And I went along with that. But I think that, that was a lesson that I've learned. And I think that now, like, I do trust my intuition. Actually, I write it in my journal every day. But I emphatically, so I won't get swayed off of that one ever again.
yeah. And if you're not sure, you just look in your journal. It says, trust your intuition. Oh,
I
God.
trust my intuition. I
That's
trust my intuition. I trust my intuition.
Well, I think this is where it's really cool to have manifestation friends who can, watch you on your path. And it's like once you guys start dating, we can process the situation and say, is it fulfilling this fantasy? And as a group, we can try to mold it and mold it and mold it. And if someone's unmoldable or it's just not working, well, then as a team, we would decide maybe not.
yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Person has got to go.
Yeah.
Maybe we should write out our manifestation desires on a little card and then hold them away. And then when there's somebody on the horizon, we bring them out. All three of us look at it and say, "Oh yeah,
Well, and good astrologers actually date someone for a year to watch all aspects of the personality go around the sun hand of the clock to go around once to the chart because we say it takes a year to actually see the person. And so I
yeah,
think this whole idea that we're going to meet somebody and they're going to instantly manifest into this thing, it takes time to manifest a relationship.
Mhm.
yeah." And you have to be open to. I think you can't make quick judgments about somebody. Oh, they don't like peas. I'm done.
Okay, so the next point he says is the mind is the key to relationships. He says,
Yeah,
as you think, so you shall be. All other people in your life are simply thoughts in your mind, and you are only a thought to everyone in your life. So, what do you think of that? Is a person just a thought, or are they a thing?
no, that's difficult.
Yeah, I think this is the non-duality aspect of it. I mean, they are both, right? Just like I am the driver of this body that you see here, this meat suit, right? Like,
Yeah,
but who is Jay-Z? It's what you think about me, and what you think about me is what makes Jay-Z and what I think about myself.
right. When you did that just then, you looked like Finn from Finn and Jake, Adventure Time.
Well, in the
Finn used to do.
Panopticon, where we're posting these videos and we're being looked at from all sides, every viewer who looks at you Rorschachs you. They all see a different Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would be on the side of the point that he's making of like that it's Jay-Z is just an idea that people have in their head, just a character on this TV show.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't totally
I
agree
don't
with
know if I buy that.
because as an astrologer, it's like people are moving and they have a soul census machine that they're built into and they have transits to and they act. She acts through them. And so they are a moving machine. Like my current partner is way easy to have good thoughts about. But I've had partners in the past who are super mean. And so it's like I can have all the good thoughts about them in the world, but they're still freaking mean, you know? So it's like I kind of agree with them, but I'm also kind of like, yeah, no, like it depends on the chart. But we all have a different take on that chart. And so kind of a mean chart should be with somebody who has a really good vibe with it and alchemizes really well with it. And so they can easily have good thoughts about that chart. Sorry, Lumiere, to be super mathematical about it.
No, I'm interested in that approach because I don't understand it. But no, but I like it. I mean, wouldn't it be easier if we could quantify everything that way and say, yes, you're the one, because it says so right here.
Well, I definitely think we should hang out with people who have a good thought about us. I mean, can we all
Yeah.
agree to that?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like don't even waste your time with people whose Rorschach of you is that you're not cool. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
bye.
Yeah, I
And we should think people in our lives to be amazing. Like, this is what I learned in Christian Science growing up, where you basically think people happy and whole. It's like when someone's sick, we in Christian Science, we look at them and we're like, oh, and you're beautiful, amazing. God made you and you're perfect. You know, that's kind of what we always do is like feedback good thoughts at people, even when they're basically sick or suffering or acting mean or anything. So I was trained to do this my whole life, you know, and so it's like, yeah, I think I can see beauty in even the weirdest people and the weirdest characters because of that, you know? But that's gotten me into some trouble too, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, I can see interesting in some people. I don't know that I'm ready to say beauty, but I can see interesting, and I'm interested in people. But then I think I'm putting on an anthropological hat and saying, "Oh yes, well, just watch this. Look at this. Holy jumping catfish! Look at that person." But I don't know that I can say beauty. I mean, I'd like to think that way, but I haven't yet. So,
Yeah, and I would say I definitely have, and that's the thing. It is kind of like what you're saying, Luminaire, the anthropological lens of like, Whoa, this person is so interesting. I never thought that someone would actually think that or do the
Yeah,
things that they're do and it makes me want to kind of like see what's gonna happen next and
yeah,
then before I know it I'm in a multi-year relationship with them.
that's right. That's
Yeah, if
right.
someone's interesting, maybe they're not your person.
And
That's
then
right.
it wears off. Then after a while, it's like, oh wait, that this is not optimal. I mean, interesting, yes, but like optimal, no.
No, and the only beautiful thing was my research, and now it's gone.
Sometimes I play a game with people called See How Annoying They Can Be. Like if somebody has an annoying personality, I'll be like, "Oh my God, here we go," and I'll just be like, "Oh my God, they did something even more annoying!" Like it's just like it's kind of a fun game.
Yeah,
For who?
everybody, everybody, right?
Everyone
Yeah,
wins on that one. Okay, so the next
but
point is
Jay-Z and I are doing the anthropological thing. That's not helping us because we do end up in relationships that we probably shouldn't end up in just because we're fascinated. It's like looking at a three-legged dog. You're like, no, I don't want that dog, but wow, look at that. Look how it hobbles around. Looks like a four-legged Captain Ahab.
I just thought of the craziest band name. It's really R-rated though. Should I say it?
Sure, isn't this show already?
Yeah. Specimen fucker.
I don't necessarily know how what I said made you think of that, but
Well,
okay.
it's like you guys are like looking at these people like they're specimens, like, oh my God, look at it go, look at it move around, look, it's
Yeah,
talking, it's doing this, it's doing that. And then we're like, no, I'm gonna date it and have sex with it. It's like, really?
yeah. Well, the thing is attraction first. Like I've never met a person like this. I've never seen anybody who responds to stuff this way. And then before you know it, you realize you're taking notes, but you're not engaged. And then it's too late.
Yeah.
Then they're standing in front of the door with a shotgun.
Yeah, I think it's okay to date a specimen as long as your mathematics align correctly. Like I think Jay-Z, your last specimen, you guys had a little mathematical issues in the charts. I don't know.
But I
Yeah.
don't know any of that, so I'm screwed. Jay-Z has a better understanding of his own math, right?
Well, you know who to ask.
Yeah.
All right, the next point is using your thoughts to create relationships. What you think expands. Okay, so he says if we think about a person, we say, I miss them. I miss them. I miss them. I miss them. Then that expands. Let's say it's a long distance relationship. Or if I hate when he drinks, that expands. So you're supposed to get Possycore about it, not Pollyanna, but being like thinking in miraculous ways, like not judging the fact that he drinks and just noticing all the beautiful things about him. So what do you guys think of this?
Yeah, I like that too. There's a line that says, "I'm going to send him love in spite of his actions," and I can espouse that. I think because what you have to think of is that. So I don't know, drinking. Let's say drinking and obnoxious and cutting the tops off parking meters. That's obnoxious, and they do that, and you think I'm going to send him love because he's going to feel better when he doesn't do that. You think I'm going to send him love because this is not good for him. He might not know it yet, but I'm going to send him love because it's not something that's good for him. Of course, that sounds arrogant. Like, how do you know what's good? But
Yeah, it is this kind of weird line of like it is kind of judgy to say like I'm gonna love you in spite of,
yeah,
you know?
that's right.
It, and its first was like I'm gonna love you because I'm not focusing on those things. I'm focusing on these things instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've tried, I mean, I've been dealing with like an alcoholic for a long, long time, and it's like I've tried literally everything. I've tried thinking about it, not thinking about it, ignoring it, this and that. And like I'm after 17 years later, I just want to be like, you're an alcoholic, get away from me. Like it's actually to the point where it's like I'm just like, no thanks on you. But it's like taking me 7 years to kind of give up trying to figure out that equation. And it's like I think there are categorically some things that are just relationship busters. Like if somebody decides to pour battery acid on their heart and stomach and smell like alcohol every day for 17 years, it's gross. Like it's like I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but like no matter what way you look at it, it's making you an aversive human. Like I don't know, so I feel like this is a two-way street, and I don't like these spiritual texts where like if you think it's to be good, it will be good. I mean, that's denying like a whole fact of reality. It's like
Well,
if
it's
you're dealing with an
denying the
alcoholic too
existence,
long, leave them. What? Sorry.
denying the existence of the other person. I was saying this too. But in your case, I would say the other thing is that you were optimistic and gave your gifts, and now you are out of gifts. And I don't think I think that makes perfect sense. At this point, it's self-preservation.
Yeah.
You gave your gifts. You worked hard for 17 years.
Maybe it's that levels of engagement and then back to love thing. Like get
Mm,
far away from the alcoholic and then love them again.
yeah. You see that happening in this case?
It's I am getting far away from them and it's easier to love them because I don't have to smell it. But I did get a call the other day about how they've been talked to at their job, and it's like it gets to you in other ways. But yeah, I mean, I do think the closer you are to certain, if you're having to do this thing where you're flipping negativity around into this spiritual posi core thing, that could be
Hmm.
outside of toxic positivity.
Well, this gets back to trusting your intuition, right? Because it seems to me like the same thing. It's like, can I trust my intuition that I don't want to hang out with them because they're in a different space? Like, and maybe it's like they're in a different space right now, but maybe it's also the like they need to be around people who were like in that space or close to that space. Like if when I was, younger and drank a lot and did a lot of drugs, then it was probably easier for other people who were drinking and doing drugs to be around me and I wasn't so annoying to them as I would have been to someone who was trying to like maximize their life right then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it maybe it can be a little bit less judgy of like you're doing the wrong thing, but more of like, oh, my intuition is telling me that the thing that you're into is not going to work with the thing that I'm into.
Yeah. A version of I'm in the wrong place.
Well, let's go back to my band name that I said, so someone fucker. Like some people might not like that, right? Some that might create an aversion in some viewers. And so then what's the question is like, should we change how we're doing the show to make it less R-rated, or should we let that viewer go away and love us from afar? Like it's a similar equation. Like anytime somebody's doing something that you don't like, what's the equation? Do you stay close and critique them and yell at them, or do you go far away and love them?
Or a third thing is, or you could sit for a second and kind of think about or like, ponder what it is that that thing is bringing up in you, like it could be
Right.
there's a third choice that it's like you open up to that.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I do that too. So this bugs me. And then I think, why does this? because right now I live with two people, but I lived with three people who never, ever, ever shut a cabinet door. So, you know, I always think, well, somebody's going to bang their head on the corner of one of these, and it annoyed me. And then there were times when I thought, and it's not consistent, it goes both ways, but I thought, why is this bugging me so much? You just shut the door. But nobody can ever remember, and they're not doing it maliciously, they just can't remember. They're on to the next thing. So I have to ask myself why that bugs me so much.
Or you could do a reframe like Jay-Z taught us with psychotecture, that book of how you can make new algorithms. You could reframe and say, every time someone leaves a cabinet door open, it means they love me. And then like you could create a new thought loop about that or something like that.
I'll get back to you. I'll give that a shot and get back to
Or you
you.
could
It's the
replace the
opposite though.
hinges with self-closing hinges.
Yeah, I could just do that too. I could just do that, but I rent, so that would be an expense. Um, you're right. You're right. I've
Okay,
done that with the toilet seat. This may be too much, but none of them ever put the toilet seat down. All three of them. So we have a cat, and I don't want the cat to get in the toilet because when he was a kitten, he could have drowned, and now he probably wouldn't drown, but toilet water. So I got a toilet lid that goes down by itself. It's great, and now I'm not ever irritated by that.
Except forget to lift it up and you sit on it.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. I'm good.
well, this brings us to the next point, which is that you want to get relationships to a place of having a purpose.
Yes.
And he says that the quality of life depends on the quality of our relationships. And if you have a lot of love in your heart, you have a lot of love to give. If you have a lot of hate in your heart, you have a lot of hate to give. So, I think he's saying we should have relationships with purpose and then give a lot of love to those relationships. And that creates more of like a miracle, you know, life.
Yeah.
What's it mean to have relationships with purpose?
Um, I don't know what he means. He's talking about see yourself as a spiritual being having a human experience and to develop a mindset that creates real magic in your life. To me, it just means being intentional about it. Just being intentional about everything, like what you say to somebody, what you do for them or with them, to make sure that you don't just try to get anything to run on automatic pilot.
Yeah, I think it's like what you have explained before, Andy, about how you're trying to like maximize each transit, right? So I think a relationship with purpose is kind of like that. Like it's part of a life with purpose where you're in your life, you're like Lumiere said, you're trying to set yourself on a path where all new experiences are uh, positive and better, improving.
Yeah.
Well, I like having relationships with purpose. It makes me think of this bar I used to go to, and that like there's all these barflies who would hang out talking about nothing, and I really gravitated away from them because we had no shared purpose together. But like the three of us come together with this purpose of making this show and sharpening the saw together, which is becoming a little smarter and and also building the Moira Press school. And like so we have all these purposes for our interaction, and that makes it more meaningful and it makes me want to come back to love over and over again because I want to keep going with, our goals and things. So maybe there is something to be said for goal like relationships with projects. Like I recently was caught saying, I have crushes on projects, not people. It's like, what's the project here that we're doing? If you take a circus act and it's a pair and they're juggling together, they will keep finding love over and over because they have this act together.
Yeah. Yeah. And that involves the people or a high wire act.
I mean, what about your work relationships? Those have purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely easier for me to relate to people when we have a shared project that provides the kind of like the mission and purpose for what it is we're trying to do. And then because I like collaborating, I like working together towards a common goal. That I think is very rewarding.
What's the purpose of a love relationship?
Well, I think it's to take care of those like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the bottom things together. I mean, I think that's what traditional marriages were all about, was being able to take care of the food, water, and shelter together easily. That's why you get with one at least one other person. And then the next level is kind of like the relationship level. So you get to experience like the safety of that first base of the pyramid and then be playing on the second level.
But I think that Maslow's hierarchy is based on security. Like each level is another level of security.
Hmm.
So maybe that's what a relationship is a level of security. I mean, back in the day, it was a level of security for a woman who didn't have income of her own unless she came from wealth. And so it was security that she got married for. And, the, so a man often like in London in the 1800s, the security of being married was good for his whatever business or name or something. So I think that it was security, but I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, for me, it's shared experiences. I think build a library of shared experiences and shared thoughts, and so that hopefully you can say, look at something, and somebody will say Wittgenstein, huh? And the other person will go, yeah, but that doesn't come overnight.
Well, you guys are really G-rated. I mean, I think the project in a partner for me is I'm a Scorpio though, but it's like come on.
Yeah. Well, me too. I'm a Scorpio too. So, that's where I start.
Well, exactly. It's like I don't let my boyfriend buy me dinner ever, and I always pay half my rent. It's like I don't need you to support me, bro. I got it. I got my first tier of the Maslows over here. I got it taken
Yeah.
care of. You know what I mean? Because I don't want it to be about that personally. Like if,
No.
if I'm having to support somebody, they're supporting me, like I lose that Scorpio layer. I'm just like, well,
Well, I think though, Andy, it's like I'm not necessarily saying to cover each other there, but like when you live in the same space that, or when you eat the same food, eat food together, like there's the economy of that whole two can live as cheaply as one thing. Like you pool those resources and you do that together, but not exactly the same, or one or the other doesn't.
yeah. And I think the point here too, and God, I probably like lose so many students by talking candidly online, but it's like, what, this is me, whatever. I'm an adult. This is adult school. But the thing is like astrology has Scorpio and it has the eighth house, so you have to deal with all the topics. But I'm probably some people say I'm obsessed with those houses, but I'm really not. I'm just not a prude. I'm just not prudish, you know. But I think you're right. I think there's a lot of benefits and byproducts and sub projects. Like it's like like Shane and I run a business together because, that's fun for us. And, and we raise a child together and he cooks the meals and I cook up the notebook for our conversations at night. And we have all these projects. We have all these like micro projects that we've developed over time because that Scorpio layer is just not enough. I mean, if you
You're
do
right.
math, like how many hours a day does that project go down? It's not very
Let
many at all.
go
Yeah.
down. Yes. But but yeah, that's right. Like I always say, well, you have to talk in between. So you have to
Yeah.
be able to talk in between.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it really is about like I think the most fulfilled marriages that I've ever seen are people who have projects together, whether it be businesses or, I guess children is a project that a lot of people do together, but
Or
but
your home.
or your home, totally.
Yeah,
I think the larger lesson from Dyer in this point is like have relationships with purpose.
Yeah.
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and whatever that purpose means to you. Yeah.
All right, you guys,
Next,
I hate to stop talking, but
yeah,
our time
All
is
right.
up.
next week is love, the central ingredient of a relationship and purpose. That's us next week, right?
Yes.
I will read that.
I love you guys.
I love.
Love you.
I can do that. I love you too.
All right,
I
I'll
love
see
you
you.
too too.
I love your tutu.
Ooh.